Ladies and gentlemen, this is phenomenal news. And the total number, the total stimulus package in terms of dollar amount is not just $2 trillion, it's $6 trillion. So the Senate, when you watch this, the Senate will have passed a $2 trillion deal. However, it is actually, when you look at it in aggregate, a $6 trillion deal. If you look at, let's see, where can I find this? The Senate is going to first pass. Okay, so Kudlow said that the total stimulus is expected to cost roughly $6 trillion. So you're going to hear the dollar amount of $2 trillion. But it's $2 trillion appropriated by Congress and $4 trillion in liquidity from the Federal Reserve. So it's a $6 trillion stimulus package. You already had 2,000 points. The Dow rebounded to 2,000 points yesterday. Okay, it went down 10,000 points within the span of like 3 weeks. In one day, it rebounded 2,000 points. You have a $6 trillion stimulus with the Senate passing today because President Trump's stimulus deal went through. So the Senate finally agreed. Democrats were stalling because they wanted Green New Deal nonsense. That has nothing to do with the Green New Deal has nothing to do with a stimulus package. You know what? Democrats could have simply passed legislation. If they wanted to reduce airline emissions, then pass legislation. They wouldn't dare vote on any of that in a actually Green New Deal legislation. They only voted on a public relations stunt called a resolution because they're all talk. They're all talk. But anyway, what are you going to do? What is the media? What are the media and the Democrats going to do when the country rebounds as quickly as the decline took place? So in our society, especially in terms of politics, there's a tremendous drop, both in terms of the stock market, the economy, people's spirits, unfortunately, because media is nonstop. Then you have President Trump saying, look, by around Easter, beginning of April, we're going to reopen the economy. The people who have been laid off already, if you're watching this, call your jobs, call your former employers and your former bosses back up and say, look, you know what? The restaurant might need me. Very likely, the restaurant or the bar is going to need you back because the economy is going to rebound as quickly as it had this downturn. Okay, there's a reason that New York and California have been shut down for business. It's not just issues associated with protecting people. If Andrew Cuomo was such a fantastic governor, why wasn't he in January or February talking about this? He wasn't. The same reason Gavin Newsom wasn't in California. Why weren't they asking for help with ventilators and all of that? Because the Democrats were all focused on impeaching Trump. The Senate, they wanted the Senate. They knew very well the Senate would never impeach President Trump. The notion now that Joe Biden is done, Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee, I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Joe Biden's done. Every single day, it's a monumental, catastrophic, not just, gaffe. It's a travesty. Every day is a travesty. And that's okay for Democrats because they just need him there because he's not Bernie Sanders and he's not Trump. So they don't care. Biden can take off his clothes and run down the street, Pennsylvania Avenue, and it wouldn't matter. They'd still vote for Biden over Bernie Sanders. They cheated Bernie in 2016. He never stated, he didn't have the guts or the courage to state, you know what, you cheated me. How dare you cheat me? When you're cheated in life or when you're wronged, at least have the courage to address the the sin or the wrongdoing, have the courage to say, look, this political party cheated me. Now I'm going to run again. He talks about the power structure with Biden during that debate, which, interestingly enough, Biden was lucid, articulate for the most part. I mean, the most articulate Biden could be. He's all over the place all the time, but at least you didn't hear him go into Biden mode. Actually, I wonder why. Why was he so lucid? Why did he communicate in a clear and concise manner when debating Bernie Sanders? Do you think that maybe the whole lights are on but nobody home routine, maybe that is like part of the act also? All of this is choreographed. Even Bernie Sanders, this is all. You don't think Bernie's going to, just like he did in 2016, back Hillary Clinton? Clinton is the only person that could even add a little bit of electricity and energy and passion into the Democratic Party. They know this. Let me explain something to you, okay? I'm voting for President Trump. Love President Trump. Admire President Trump. You know who else I love? Hillary Clinton. Because she vindicates everything I've ever said about the left. Everything I've ever said about Democrats and media. Clinton is absolutely wonderful. Because there's something I respect honesty when it comes to treacherous individuals. Just be honest. I want to know who the adversary is. I don't want a person like Bernie Sanders. I'll fight for you. Oh, what was that? I was cheated? Nah, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to admit that I was cheated. What I'll do is I'll pretend that the dossier, that Trump did something with Russia, and I'll foment the same nonsense and deceitful lies from James Clapper and John Brennan. That's what I'll do. And so you have this thing, ladies and gentlemen, where Bernie Sanders is a part of the fomenting the same Trump-Russia myth that they used against Bernie. Russia doesn't care. Russia does not care about Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard or Trump. Democrats literally have stated anyone that we don't agree with. And the one correlation, well, you think with Bernie Sanders, although he didn't even back Trump recently, on Americans being brought home from the longest-running conflict, you'd think the left would be happy with this. Oh, but they're not. They're not. When it comes to American soldiers, men and women, they don't. Where are the voices saying, you know what, Trump did a good thing? Only President Trump could reverse 16 years of failed foreign policy, starting with Bush, the worst president we've ever had, and continuing with President Obama, who was there, who won to reverse Bush's foreign policy. Nobody talks about foreign policy. And then President Obama ended up destroying Libya. When you look at foreign policy and you place foreign policy in context, President Trump is one of the great presidents we've ever had. And you'd have to know something about foreign policy to understand why that's the case. He is reversing. Now, he's not a pacifist. Okay, the point is it's not like, well, if he isn't a pacifist, then he's just the same as Bush and President Obama. No, he is definitely reversed the long-term strategy of U.S. foreign policy, which is get entangled and intervene and stay in places of conflict forever. He is removing Americans now from regions of conflict, and the people who have been there, men and women, and the American military who have been there for 20 years. And it took President Trump to remove them. But notice how nobody cares on the left. Okay? You're talking about the American left is devoid, okay, of any caring or concern for American men and women in the United States military abroad. They care more about what you say on Twitter or social media than they do about bringing home American men and women. No, just go to any Rose Twitter or anarchist or whatever, socialist account that loves Bernie. What are they? It's interesting. Go and find out the foreign policy obsessions they have. Okay, some of which are noble. Some are taken completely out of context. But go and find out. It's not ending perpetual military conflict so that American soldiers are being brought home to their families, their sons, their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their parents. The value system is that value system doesn't exist on the left. Okay, maybe the Green Party it exists, maybe. You could say, the Green Party I don't agree with on a lot, but at least they're the real deal. If Bernie Sanders was true to, Bernie Sanders is a tool of the establishment, but if he really wanted to make a change, he would join the Green Party. Why doesn't Bernie Sanders join the Green Party? Gee, I wonder why. Because he's a political creature. He likes to be on TV. And he will kowtow, and he will bend the knee, and he will embrace the rear end, and not only embrace, go way, way up the Democratic Party's posterior. And that's what he's there for. What do you think he's there for? To win? They cheated. Not only did they cheat him in 2016, and the DNC emails forced Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign in disgrace, and they talked about his religion, and he did all of these things. You never see the left read the DNC emails anymore. Gee, I wonder why. Because really, the left is just, they're led by the establishment, and they kind of know that to be the case, but they kind of pretend that's not the case. At the end of the day, they'll all vote Hillary Clinton, which is part of my prediction, which is part of the vindication. When Clinton becomes nominee, and you see 90% of Rose Twitter and Bernie supporters and the left and everybody just fall in line, they'll do the same thing in 2024. She'll run again in 2024. She could be in Pelican Bay or Rikers Island or whatever. I'm joking, kind of. They'll still vote. They'll still vote for Clinton in 2024. They will never stop voting for Clinton, because Hillary Clinton is the only voice they truly have, and the only voice that could possibly win for them, which says everything that you need to know about the Democratic Party. But you have a $2 trillion initial stimulus deal, and then that gets to $6 trillion when you get the Fed involved. The $6 trillion is something that President Trump's approval rating is going up. Anyways, at 49% with Gallup, it's at 44% or 43 or 44% with independents, up 9 points. Democrats, can you believe 13% of Democrats approve of President Trump's handling of everything? 13% of Democrats. So his approval rating's gone up. In Gallup, it was 49. In the Harris poll recently, I think it was the Axios Harris poll, it was like 55%. He's there every day, ladies and gentlemen. Then you have Hillary Clinton on Twitter talking about Trump looking at a solar eclipse. He was like a second. They manipulate every. He never said both sides. He never insulted somebody. He never insulted a person with disabilities. He never said both sides. Notice how they never play the tapes. They never play the tape. They just say it happened. There wasn't a ban on a religion. That's nonsense too. He never called what's taking place the actual calamity a hoax. He talked about the fear and paranoia and the spin of media. But go look at the actual context that Democrats demand for themselves and willingly and deliberately ignore with Trump. They see Trump. They look at Trump and they say, oh my God, this man's personality is the antithesis of what we stand for. The funny thing is they don't stand for anything. They don't stand for anything. Climate change, they passed a resolution, which was a public relations stunt. They didn't pass any legislation. Okay. Foreign policy, what is their foreign policy other than worrying about Russian Facebook ads? What is their foreign policy? What foreign policy do Democrats talk about? President Trump is removing soldiers from never-ending conflict. What's the Democratic Party's foreign policy? Max Boot, Bill Kristol, and Bernie Sanders are voting Democrat. They're voting for Hillary Clinton in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, I will have made the biggest political call of all time to my 15-minute crowd. I appreciate you and thank you for watching this long. And usually I have my live streams, but this is like kind of, important breaking news. So I'll have a live stream probably today at around 3 p.m. Pacific. So be there on this channel. But ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. That's growing. We're on our way to 20,000 subs on that channel. $6 trillion, people. The economy is going to rebound. Life is going to get better very soon. Very soon. And Democrats are just going to be stunned yet again. Notice the glee, the happiness from like all the calamity and the travesty of what was taking place. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And now they don't want to open up the economy anymore. They don't want, it's really irresponsible. It's like, no, economic security equals health. Not a very difficult concept to understand. If you cannot afford, when people say, I don't have access to health, no, they can afford health insurance. They can't afford medication. You can't afford these things. And you think people living paycheck to paycheck, you think they want 60 million Americans in California and New York. That's 20% plus of the U.S. GDP. Do you think maybe there's a political component? Both New York and California run by Democrats. You think there's maybe a political component and the fact that both governors can't manage their own states and need more money for their state budgets because they have horrendous homeless problems? Give me your thoughts below. President Trump is leading us through this mess. You can dislike or like or admire or have utter contempt for President Trump. Nobody can deny President Trump's been there every day. Where's Joe Biden? Nobody knows. Clinton's on social media because that's where Democrats live. That's their domain, a cyber reality. It's like liberal dysfunctional Tron. But when Clinton becomes nominee on the centennial of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote, you think they're going with Biden or Bernie? Give me a break. You think they're going to go with Andrew Cuomo? America was never great. What has he done? What on earth has he done besides, who knows why the media is so all over him? I have no clue. He literally said America was never great. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. So tell your friends to subscribe to this channel. And my live stream be about 2 p.m. Pacific today or so. God bless America. God bless you. If you've been impacted by all of this, God bless you. And understand something. When the economy rebounds, it'll rebound quickly. If, heaven forbid, you've lost your job or your source of income, call back your employer like a week or 2 weeks into this economic recovery and say, look, you know what? If things are picking up, I'm back. I'll be back to work. Give me your thought. If just the economy, the recovery is going to take place, ladies and gentlemen. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you.